and said any interference from Iran will be met forcefully. He also said, I'm fully aware that my representatives are having very positive discussions with the country of Iran, and that these discussions could lead somewhere very positive for all. Iran had also released some demands that are basically the same as the previous demand, but parsing it up in a short-term and long-term negotiation process. They did that yesterday. But what's funny about all of this is that all the oil countries pumping from Operation Freedom has already been wiped out by the missile and drone attacks on the UAE law. Yeah. The interesting predicament here is that it seems as though the Trump administration is going to continue conducting military operations rather than engaging Iran. Oh, right. If Iran goes for to restart the war, if Iran believes that it can hold out and continue punishing the global energy markets, continue punishing America this way militarily, then, as I said, it was either going to be Israel or America that restarts the military. And here we are. America is going back up the escalation ladder instead of de-escalating. All right, so let's get back to it here.
Platform things like Reaper drones and 15,000 service members who are now put there to respond essentially if Iran does attack any of these ships trying to pass through the strait. And that is exactly what morning was. Including US Navy ships, and we were also responsible by small Iranian boats helicopters. Now, it's important to note here that October did not say whether the ceasefire is over, given that the Iranians and the Americans are now ready in that strait. We would only say that the U.S. is going to continue to act defensively to try to protect these ships, as well as, of course, its own assets. And one of the things is that he really emphasized that there are no exports going on right now in this area by the military. Instead, they say that this kind of overarching defensive package that they have built up in that area is creating deterrence. Now, the Iranians, they might have a different perception of that because, of course, they continue to try to shoot shots just in the waterway. But the U.S. military is saying, look, it's better for us to have this big overall.
Your audio has issues. You keep barking. No, CNN VODs. CNN VODs have notoriously had that one weird crunch that happens all the time. We don't know why, but
here rather than export each ship one by one through the strait, which could actually lead to more damage.
The conflict openly from the tensions in the Strait of Hormuz back onto land, back to where it was before the ceasefire went into place almost a month ago, as well as those missiles from Iran hitting the UAE. We have detected, as you say, one hitting that port of Fujairah. Also in Oman, a tiny seaside hamlet in the peninsula that sticks up into the Strait of Hormuz. That was hit. 2 people injured in civilian residents there as well. So not just limited to the UAE, but Oman as well getting dragged back into this. And CENTCOM has been saying they've been able to support what President Trump is calling Project Freedom, and that is an effort that has been stuck now for 2 months inside the Gulf, out through the Strait of Hormuz, out to they deliver their goods to the rest of the world. That has involved at least one guided missile destroyer putting the CENTCOM passing through the Strait of Hormuz today and getting into the Gulf. 2 U.S.-flight commercial vessels making it out, but then a confrontation, according to the Iranian media, IRGC, saying that they confronted with rapid and quick action, preventing a U.S. naval vessel getting into the Strait of Hormuz. At least one Iranian media saying that there were attacks
Okay.
Has denied that. Now,
Peace.
what does that very complicated and rapidly developing picture look like? It looks like conversations about thought process that turns into significant kinetic activity. The Iranians, the ball is in their court to respond to the proposal put up by the White House over the weekend.
These niggas, is it fair to say that there's still a ceasefire being that kind of attack against Gulf allies of the U.S. What did you say? What did you say? Oh. That was weird. That was the... Okay, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. He didn't. I wasn't alone, it seems, in hearing the words that came out of his mouth, but let's just keep going. Demonstrate.
I think it's really impressive. I spoke with Iranian officials on Friday here, and they said they were very concerned that easing of blockades around the Strait of Hormuz. They were very concerned that the United States would move in with the Navy to try to take control of it. So what appears to be happening by contracting the effort to guide these commercial vessels out of the Strait of Hormuz, it has sort of, if you will, that that restriction on Iran's part that plays into their lack of trust about what the United States' real intentions here are. I have to say, despite that, we've seen these spikes in tensions before, and after a few days, things can potentially calm down. But Iran, again, has escalated beyond the tensions with the U.S.
Is there a world where we actually look at this stuff sincerely? Iran has escalated tensions. Buddy, there is currently a tolling process on the Strait of Hormuz and a negotiations process. None of this would have happened if America didn't decide to bomb Iran alongside Israel in an act of perfidy during a previous negotiation process. This is ridiculous. Iran has escalated. What do you mean? They brought Iran to the negotiation table and then said, stop. What's supposed to happen here? What are they supposed to do? Just not maintain their leverage? Of course they're going to maintain their leverage. This doesn't make any sense. Wait, talking about today's escalation? No, am I missing something? Yes. The reason why Iran is doing that when it wasn't doing it yesterday is because America has decided to force their assets through the Strait of Hormuz.
Hey, buddy.
That's the reason. Instead of negotiating with Iran, America has chosen military escalation once again. So obviously, Iran is going to retaliate. I don't know why we behave as though our enemies, like our foreign adversaries, are incapable of making rational decisions or incapable of advancing their own interests. Or if they do advance their own interests, we treat it as though it's like totally ridiculous. We make it seem as though there's not two parties. We make it seem as though there's not two parties to this negotiation process that are like that they're just doing it for no reason, nowhere.
And has now targeted the UAE and Oman, and this really could lead to potential escalation, kinetic escalation. If that continues for the next couple of days, then I think talks will really get sidelined. It'll be hard to restart them in a meaningful way. Even that's really in question. Just because this is straight into Iran's theater, they would now say, why would we get around the table again if this is what the United States is going to do?
They brought a lot more on stuff.
So we're just keeping out the White House and Kevin Litzak. From yesterday, Kevin, we had President Trump saying that the U.S. would have very positive discussions with Iran. Now, obviously, we just heard of course from Nick. What?
Well, I have to say about exactly what happened. Okay, so sorry, 2 days before the president said that they were critical, he said that the latest version was not acceptable. Yes, he wasn't saying the N-word, Chad. He was saying his name and then going after. Okay. And so, come on, lock in. We got it. Okay. We're behaving like little babies. Okay. Come on. Basically, clear happening. And certainly it's unclear now that we've been seeing this exchange of fire between the U.S. and Iran. A military and foreign force. The fire in the UAE was the result of the U.S. Army's adventurism. From the explosion of widespread fire points to the Fujairah report and the attribution of it to the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Military and foreign forces. The Islamic Republic had no pre-planned program to attack the mentioned oil facility. And what happened was the result of U.S. Army's adventurism with great passage of illegal transit ships through the forbidden route to the Strait of Hormuz. And the U.S. Army must be held accountable for it. U.S. statesmen must end the ugly behavior of using force and diplomacy in military adventurism in this sensitive oil region that affects the economy of all countries worldwide. Okay, but have you thought
Let's go to that location.
I live in Fujairah, should I move? That's crazy. You made us do it? I mean, yeah, that is what they're doing. Because it's true. If there was a tit for tat, war going on, and they set up a ceasefire, okay, and then America violated the principles of the ceasefire, then yeah, of course they're going to retaliate. What are we talking about? Because if they don't retaliate, then they have nothing. If they don't retaliate, they have no leverage. Why would they not maintain their leverage? I think we have to remember, Iran was attacked first. Okay? We got to go back to like 60 plus days ago when Iran was at the negotiation table saying, we will lean into your maximalist demands, we will cave to your demands, we will concede to them, as long as you give us sanctions relief. Of course, they have to reestablish that deterrent. There is no ceasefire process. Yeah, Ross Dalton is going to think these boys are going on an epic adventure. But, yeah. Adventurism in this circumstance means like erratic and decentralized modes of violence. Like it's just irrational, erratic violence. Okay, that's what adventurism is. Doesn't mean it's not positive, it's a negative thing. Okay. The reason why I'm including it one more time is because a lot of people don't know, and I use the term adventurism with a negative association to it, and yet people often think that means going on an adventure. That's not a positive thing. Okay. Yeah. W is okay. Iraqi businessmen have normally tried to fight over 3 hours despite being reported in the UAE. Well, they released a statement already. Great. I think it was clear leading up to the president's decision to put this new initiative into place that he had been growing relatively frustrated with the stasis that had occurred. The war was not fire was in place, but the strait was also not reopened, and the talks seemed as if they were deadlocked. And this seems to have been his attempt to try and break some of that stalemate to get the ships flowing through this very critical waterway. But of course, the risk there is that the Iranians... Why is Iran attacking the UAE, not Israel? I don't know. Maybe because currently, as it stands, the United Arab Emirates, which can be seen as an extension of America and Israel, is participating in breaking through the blockade alongside the United States of America. Perhaps that's the reason why the UAE is being attacked. Fire at some of these ships. The ceasefire is off, and all of a sudden, the U.S. is back at war with Iran. It has been, I think, unclear this morning what exactly Project Freedom would entail. American officials were quick to point out that this was not an escort mission. The word the president used was guide the ships to the Strait of Hormuz. Just in the last hour, we have heard from the head of Central Command, Brad Cooper,
I've got some medium ammo.
Describing this as a multiple layer effort using aircraft, using ships to sort of create a coordination cell that allows also Israel this